For many clouds at 3-1 as Nap. Any interest in that?
I think it was the worst Hennessy ever run. To be honest with you, the top weight in that race, I can't pronounce it.
Houblon des Aubins.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't do.
Well, yeah, that was good, bloody.
That was
Oui, ça va.
I don't think it was a good Hennessy, and I think the form
was the
there
worst ever.
Yeah, and I think it's there to be shot at. Not literally, but there's horses in there. Holywell was unbeaten at Cheltenham.
So 5-1 Holywell is
I
one.
don't know. I've got to find out if Holywell was wearing the blinkers, because that to me would make the difference.
He's also entered it in the Cleeve, isn't he, John Joe? You wouldn't know what he's doing. You wouldn't want to play poker with him, would you?
No, you wouldn't. He's very sort of guarded on what he wears.
I can't be with that jolly Dynaste. I think there's holes in him. I'm not certain he'd bound up that ill. Were you, Ed?
Well, there's holes in everything. I agree with the holes in Dynaste.
I don't think there's many holes in many clouds, to be fair.
I mean he's definitely going to stay all day. No question about that. Jumps pretty well.
I mean, you spoke to Oliver yesterday, didn't you?
Yeah. I mean, my concern is that was a hard old race at the Hennessy. I mean,
hold on a minute. He's an horse. He's had a long break, Ed. He's had longer off than you have getting around him. Come on.
But Mary King
He did get the rounds in.
But Mary King finishing in third in that race does sort of open it up as if.
The thing about Mary King, he finishes third in every race. He never wins. And he's a real.
That's the same with this, isn't it?
Giant bowl.
We call him a sea horse.
Yeah.
You know what the sea horses are? You look in a racing post, see so and so, see another horse, and he's a sea horse, isn't he? He'll see this, see that.
Yeah.
That's Mary King. He always runs well. But many clouds is progressing.
Yeah.
He's going. But the last time he ran at Cheltenham, he got brought down, and that's why I think Oliver's desperate to have a run in here. If I was to have a bet in this race, I mean, there's a horse here. If he turns up, it's a massive price. Is old Double Ross, who loves Cheltenham. Nigel Twiston-Davis, as fit as Cheryl Coe in stockings and suspenders. At 20-1, that'd run a race for me. That if it turns up.
There's a couple I couldn't be with. I couldn't be with the Giant Bolster.
Okay.
And I couldn't be with Many Clouds. And Dynaste, I mean, it went past the non-staying Champagne Fever and the King George.
Well, I'll never forget the Feltham. When it won the Feltham, I mean, really, it could hardly walk back to the. I was there at Boxing Day that day. It could hardly walk back to the paddock, and they made it favourite for the RSA, and he didn't get the trip. I'm convinced he never got the trip in the King George this year. His best form at Cheltenham was over 2 mile 5. He's a 2 mile 5 horse, so I cannot have that stand unless they put roller skates on it.
Right, okay, so the boys in the studio slightly disagreeing with Sophie there.
No.
Happy to go Many Clouds here.
I'd rather bet Many Clouds than Dynaste, Smad Place, Holywell and the Giant Slow Coach, but I think Double Ross at 20-1.
Yeah.
That runs well at Cheltenham.
So we're going to look at Double Ross as an outsider if
Very possibly.
things go well in that regard. Right, okay. There's another hurdle on Saturday at Cheltenham, and she's gone for Reeve de Civolo, back to winning ways.
It's called Rev de Civolo.
There you go. You should come and sit where I sit.
No, I haven't got the clothes.
You definitely don't have the clothes. Right, Rev de Civolo, back to winning form. Another one you'd be interested in or not?
No.
Again, no.
No.
I think
we're allowed to have differences of opinion.
The most interesting thing about this is look at how much influence the French breds are having on our racing now. I mean, look at all these French horses coming over because they start them early.
They like to sell them early.
Yeah, and sell them early indeed.
The one good thing about the French horses is they've only got to look at a plate and see their brothers and sisters on there, and they sort of quicken up a bit, don't they? If you don't run well, your main course with the pommes frites, isn't you?
Yeah. I mean, there's question marks against the favourite here because it's reverted back from chasing back to early.
But I spoke to Andy Stewart on Saturday. He was in Barbados after dodging bullets run, and Paul Nicholls was opposite him. He was in his place in Barbados.
We tried to get him on and he was actually in
and he says to me about Sapphire de Roy, what do you think? I said, it's another big bucks. It's an absolute ringer for him now. You know, he's very well up in the weights. Beat that, I thought, was very disappointing at Cheltenham, did you?
Yeah, very much so. But a lot of these had big reputations. Black Lion had a big reputation.
At Fisher's Cross jumps like Eamon Holmes. Yeah. Rev de Civola's a stone better at Ascot. Doesn't seem to like Cheltenham. Again, there's our old friend Holywell turning up. And then we got Briar Hill.
Cole Harden's interesting. I'm just slightly worried that Warren Greattrix he had this brilliant start.
Oh, the yard was terrible last.
Yeah, Saturday.
Awful. Warren Tour come back wrong, and also the other creature, Shantu Bob, run well. I think the favourite will win.
Finch?
Yeah. I mean, I just worried me. I mean, they do think a lot of the horse. There's no doubt about that.
Last year,
3-1 the price there, though. Is that
it's wide open, really, isn't it? I mean,
if you look at the figures in that, last year he's getting the weight off someone. He says, well, last year he beat Whisper over hurdles and Fossil Ass in a terrific race, and Whisper went on to win the Grady race at Aintree and ran well at Cheltenham. So I think he's got less holes in him than the rest of them. He hasn't gone chasing, and again, it's just weird, isn't it? The big buck syndrome. I mean, I had the biggest bet of my life on big bucks in the Hennessy when Sam Thomas jumped off him at the last. That's the last time he ran in the chase. Yeah, he was off about 135, by the way.
It went up against Coney Green. They really fancied it. It fell fell twice against Coney Green, I think.
It fell at Newbury again.
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, the one that interests me is Cole Harden. I think the price for the World Hurdle is quite big for each way. I think it's about 33s, and the way it was running on against Rock on Ruby after not leading like it normally does. does. I'm quite interested in Cole Hardin.
I would agree with you. As I say, the massive caveat is the form were on cracking form. They were like 40% strike rate beginning of the season, and they had that 15 minutes last Saturday where they had 3 favourites on the trot, and they all.
Well, also, I think he went far too fast at Newbury in the long walk hurdle when he was trying to get more of that off it, and he also absolutely slaughtered at Weatherby. Medina's come through and picked the pieces up, didn't it? But whether that form, I think if there's a decent horse here, I think it might be Safford. A very interesting horse in this race, who's entered in a couple of other races in the novice, is Black Lion. He's
another one with a massive reputation a bit ago.
Now, last time when it ran, it come too quick, and that is an absolute fact. That it shouldn't have run last time. If you take the run before that, it was very impressive. He's very interesting also for me for the old potato race at Cheltenham, the Albert Bartlett, but he's very likely to run in the novice race at Cheltenham as well. So we got that as a non-buzzer. You've got Holywell as a non-buzzer. You know, what you going to have left? I think Safford will be 9-4 on the day. I don't think there'd be any money for beat there. I think he'd drift faster than Captain Phillips.
So you think 3-1 there is actually not a bad price to take now?
No, because anti-post bet is all about what will run. Another interesting one, if he does turn up, and again he probably won't, is the Druid's nephew. He's a very talented animal. He don't seem to jump fences very well, and he's well handicapped. Mulholland's got it this year, has done really well from Andy Turnell, who hasn't had a winner since Catabatic. But he probably won't turn up. Alofi won't get the trip unless they put, roller skates on him. Willie's probably not going to run Zaipur in Briar Hill. Probably won't run both. What are you going to get left with? They're all going to shorten up because although they only their 25 shots, it's 4% of the book. Holywell don't turn up. He's a 10% out of the book. That's 14% suddenly.
In fact, Fisher's crosswinds, I'll give up gambling.
I'm the same with you. He's got back problems. I say jumps like Eamon Holmes, can't have him.
Yeah. Right, we've got one more race to go for. It's Doncaster's SkyBet Chase on Saturday. She's gone for if in doubt at 8-1. I'll start with you, Peter Finch. You've disagreed on a couple of those. Do you think there's one that you can go with there? There's a massive field, obviously, but 8-1 if in doubt is Sophie's pick.
Handicaps are really hard to read at this stage because you don't know what's going to be, declared on the.
Hobbs has got 2 of the first 4 in the betting there, isn't he?
And you've got Easter Day that was out for a year and come back and run okay-ish at Newbury.
I couldn't have it.
No, it's a really tough race. I mean, there are
just from the prices, you see how tight it's
at a glance does well at Cheltenham, but is getting on a bit in years. Grandad Hall saying about each way at the Longston camp. That's what she's gone for each way, isn't she?
Yeah, she did.
Yeah. Grandad's Hall 16-1. That's her each way pick.
Yeah, I think Noel Feely's going up there to ride it. Donny said for me, he's riding better than anybody at the moment. Noel Feely, Rider give dodging bullets the other day, superb. He's a bit of a twicer. Medimit's an interesting horse. He refused once when I backed him at Huntingdon. I never liked him ever since. The real blot on the handicap here is if in doubt. I mean, that's a J. Finn McManus horse, and God knows what's happening with that. I've had it down all mind. JP just got one thing in mind all season, hasn't he? One thing, the Cheltenham Festival, isn't it? He nearly has a favourite in every single handicap, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And that last year, round in the Pertemps final and got beat by Fingal Bay, but it was bang there 2 out. He hasn't jumped that well this year, but a lot of JPs don't until they get handicapped. Then suddenly they jump a lot better.
Interesting.
And if in doubt, is a very well handicapped animal. The other horse I is a definite runner is Hadrian's Approach, who was all wrong when it won first time at Cheltenham.
14-1 the price there.
It's a Nicky Henderson horse. It won the Whitbread a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And
the stable there are weird, aren't they? They're sort of having.
He's had 1 winner a month over the chases. He's had 5 out of 51, 52.
It's very bizarre.
So I wouldn't be backing Hadrian's Approach based on the fact that chasers can't seem to win. Obviously, Sprinter Sacker came back at the weekend.
I thought that was a good run, Sprinter, while we're on that. I thought that was all right.
You're joking. If you think that's the same form he showed before.
Of course it's not, but as a comeback ride, I thought that was
after
fine.
After a year off, reverse form at Cheltenham.
It won't.
It will. Here we go. We have a little shaking bet.
He's come back with blood in his nose. It's as fit as a butcher's. Oh, please.
Didn't even bring the whip with him, Garrity, did he? Didn't touch it.
Why?
Because we're going off first.
You boys have disappeared. Right, gentlemen, plus couch. Thank you very much for joining us.
Go on the Blaze.
Giving me stick about my shirt and tie.
Come on the